there, and welcome to Merry Wednesday, a weekly podcast where every day is a holiday. I'm Sam, and I'm here to help you celebrate. But first, I'm thinking it's time for a snack. And since today, April 19th, 2023, is Rice Ball Day, let's have some onigiri. So I'll be upfront with you this time. Similar to Smoke and Mirrors Day, Rice Ball Day appears to have no known origin. It's not in Chase's calendar of events at all, either. I'd like to think some sneaky rice ball fan just scribbled something on a calendar that accidentally got out and now is widespread on the internet. That said, while rice balls are similar to dumplings in that many cuisines have their own unique take or takes on them, and you can fill them with pretty much anything, the first result on every search of this holiday is focused on onigiri for some reason, so we'll start there too. If you haven't been to Japan, it's very possible you've never heard of onigiri. They're nowhere near as difficult to find as egg creams, but you'll need to do a little digging. Onigiri are balls of rice about the size of your palm, usually formed into a circle or a triangle, and filled with either a savory or a sweet filling. A piece of seaweed or nori is then added to the outside to give you something to grip instead of rice so that your hands don't get sticky. This is fitting since the word onigiri comes from the Japanese nigiru, meaning to grasp or to squeeze. Now this is a little bit confusing since you may have heard the word nigiri when ordering sushi. Nigiri are small balls of rice topped with a thin strip of raw fish or other sushi ingredient such as egg. So if you've ever heard that you should be eating sushi with your hands instead of chopsticks, I'm hoping that translation clears things up for you. But for those of you who do know how to use chopsticks, not to worry, they are still needed to eat sashimi or pieces of raw fish without rice. So while onigiri and nigiri are vaguely similar, they're really not in the same category. It would be like comparing cheese on a cracker to a Hot Pocket. Similar components, yes, but totally different feel. I'm also aware from my own Japanese studies that O is placed in front of many words as an honorific to make things more polite. Most places I looked couldn't give me a good explanation as to why onigiri sounds like polite nigiri, but I found one article saying that onigiri is a way to show love, and frankly, I love that. Onigiri are also apparently known as omusubi, coming from the verb musubu, meaning to tie or to roll, but since I've never heard it called that before, I'm just going to keep on calling it onigiri. Onigiri are a nice, simple snack made to enjoy on the go. It's basically the Japanese equivalent of a sandwich, but smaller, so you probably have a couple. Common fillings for onigiri are a pickled plum called umeboshi, a mixture of tuna and Japanese mayonnaise, salted salmon, or seaweed salad, but you can put whatever you want in them. I found some nearby and got a few interesting flavors for important research. I had unagi, or eel, tempura shrimp, a crab and seaweed salad mix, and for some reason, Spam, because frankly, why not? They were great, obviously. They're so simple, how could they not be? But my best recommendation for you is not to order 4, because that is too many, and you will not be able to finish them, and you'll be uncomfortable for the rest of the day. And no, that is not a challenge, just a public service announcement. Eat responsibly, my friends. Anyway, in Japan, they're at every convenience store, or so I'm told. My husband and I bought tickets for a trip to Japan in January of 2020, so that didn't happen. We'll get there one of these days. But if you've been to Japan and enjoyed some onigiri, I'd love to hear all about it. Especially if they're very different from the ones in the US. Although if you've had a super weird flavor in the US, I'd love to hear about that too. I'm sure there's a cheeseburger onigiri out somewhere, or a hot dog, or something. What will we think of next? You may think that onigiri is a fairly new trend. That may be true in the States, but in Japan, onigiri goes back more than 2,000 years. My first thought was that there was probably a painting of a rice ball somewhere, but get this. Archaeologists found carbonized rice with fingerprints on it dated back to 300 BCE. Can you imagine being the archaeologist who's like, "Hey everyone, I found some rice"? I'm pretty sure that's a very cool and important find, but that just sounds hilarious to me. Apparently back then, they steamed them in bamboo leaves rather than using nori. By about the year 800, there are records of rice balls being given as gifts from elite families to their servants, farmhands, or other helpers. Of course, then, it was an earlier form of rice ball called tonjiki, coming from ton, meaning to collect or bundle, and also instant. You would think that the jiki at the end means something different, but I couldn't find a straight English explanation. I'm going to blame English for that instead of Japanese, since English is a dumb language. Anyway, those versions were made with brown rice instead of the sticky white rice used today, and they were formed into an egg shape. Gotta love it when people appreciate those beneath them who help them out. Just a quick note, Administrative Professionals Day is actually next Wednesday, so if you have an assistant or someone who helps you professionally, make sure to show them some appreciation next week. I mean, I like rice balls, and if you can't find rice balls, I think you'll find that most people enjoy food. Just try to get a bit more creative than pizza. Adding the nori to the rice balls dates back to the end of the 17th century, making them even more portable. They were ideal for school lunches or even snacks to be enjoyed at festivals. If you've ever seen a bento box, a Japanese version of a packed lunch that tends to be separated into sections and just really cute, you've probably seen some rice balls in there. And those ones are often shaped like pandas or Pokemon characters or other cute animals. Seriously, do a Google image search for bento boxes and try not to smile. Rice balls were also used as a military ration at one point, but I'm going to guess that they probably weren't shaped like adorable little bunnies. So sad. So since this is Rice Ball Day and not Onigiri Day, I just wanted to quickly touch on some other rice balls in other cultures. China has something similar to onigiri called zongzi, which are sticky rice filled with savory or sweet fillings, though savory seems to be more popular, and wrapped in a bamboo or reed leaf. They used to have something like this at one of the dining halls at my college, and I was deeply obsessed with them. So this is something that you would find at a restaurant rather than at a convenience store, but they, like onigiri, are a popular festival food. It's also very sticky, so you would use the leaf to hold it. Comparatively, onigiri isn't quite as sticky and can be enjoyed cold. Although, if you're anything like my husband, you can enjoy all leftovers, including Chinese food, cold anyway, so you do you. One of my personal favorite other rice balls are called arancini, and they're from Sicily. They're balls of nice, creamy, cheesy risotto filled with various types of things, again, usually savory, covered in breadcrumbs and deep fried. They are delightfully crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Like the other rice balls I mentioned so far, they're more of a snack than a meal, so you would most likely find them in an Italian restaurant as an appetizer or antipasti. I have a restaurant by me that always has arancini, but they're always a different flavor. For someone like me that truly believes variety is the spice of life and enjoys cheesy, crispy things at all times, they're pretty irresistible. Arancini are also pretty large, about the size of an orange, or in Italian, arancia, which is where the name comes from, and they come with a dipping sauce, usually some type of tomato sauce, but it can vary wildly depending on the flavor of the inside. The onigiri I had for this episode came with a spicy mayo to dip them in, but frankly, I disagreed with that. I prefer my onigiri undipped. In Ghana, there's a type of rice ball called omotuo. The rice for that one is made with extra water and pounded to make it smooth, and then formed into balls and served with soup, traditionally either groundnut soup or palm nut soup. Now this one I don't have any personal experience with, but from my research and understanding, it seems to most closely resemble a matzo ball, obviously made with rice instead of matzah. It's fairly large, dense, and made to go with soup rather than be eaten on its own, and I don't have a better parallel to draw for you. So if you had omotuo before, I would love to know if you have a better comparison. There are way more different kinds of rice balls across different cultures, so today, on Rice Ball Day, I'd say look around. Find whatever floats your boat and enjoy. Just not too many. I wasn't kidding about the 4 onigiri being way too much. But give it a try. There are just so many varieties that you have to like one. Unless, of course, you don't like rice, in which case, sorry for taking up so much of your time. Though, if that's the case, I do appreciate you listening for this long. But if you do have a rice ball today, I'd love to hear about it, especially if it's different than one of the ones I mentioned. So as always, please feel free to send me an email at merrywednesdaypod@gmail.com. You can also check out www.merrywednesday.com, find our Facebook page called Merry Wednesday, follow our Instagram page at Merry_Wednesday, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Merry Wednesday. And if you liked this episode, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. Thank you so much for taking the time to celebrate with me, and I hope you have a very Merry Wednesday.